How many times are we going to have to teach you this, old man? Well, one more time. Leave a like on the video so we can, for every like on the video, will be us telling the old man one more time that we're done with this. That it's not a conservative Republican thing either. It's not a religious thing. It's just regular people who are sick of political pandering from their brands, indirectly insulting their customers, calling them fratty like Bud Light did, getting judged by uber rich white liberal women who run these marketing departments. Quite frankly, we found I've got a video later today which you're going to want to see exactly who the marketing manager is for Miller Lite and Coors, because it's exactly who you might expect. A literal carbon copy of Heinerschneid from Bud Light. Yesterday, Miller Lite, they didn't put out the ad. The ad actually came out a couple weeks ago and went relatively unnoticed because most people were looking at how moronic, how idiotic Bud Light was being at the time. Now that the Bud Light battle is waning down, we've got a new one. For all the people that moved to Molson Coors, which includes Miller Lite, Coors Light, and many others, looks like you're going to have to go to Yingling because this the idea. We know we can have an effect. We know we can move the stock. We know we can boycott. We know we can do this. So let's just do it again. Leave a like on the video. These companies have to learn. By the way, a small announcement on my company today, Coffee Brand Coffee. We rolled out a brand new flavor, blackberry cream. It's absolutely delicious. If you thought our strawberries and cream and our blueberry cobbler and our other flavors were good, wait till you get this one. We're roasting it right now. To celebrate blackberry cream, I'm going to link it in the description. Promo code DELISH, one word, save 10%, and you can do it site-wide. I highly recommend picking up some of our cold brews, too, and if you don't like flavored coffee, obviously we have a delicious dark roast. We have our medium Colombian roast, Ethiopian, light roast, 100% not woke, and right here, made and roasted right here in America. And thanks to your support, we just hired another fulfillment center employee, probably bringing on another employee later this month. So check us out. It's time beer made up to women. Miller Lite apologizes for using women in bikinis to sell beer after campaigns featuring Sofia Vergara, Meghan Markle, and Pamela Anderson. New ad echoes woke Dylan Mulvaney controversy. Well, what's interesting to me is it's funny how all these women, now that they're old, have a problem with it, right? They were fine using their bodies when they were young. They were fine cashing the checks. I mean, exactly how good of an actress was Pamela Anderson? Does anyone know? Meghan Markle? She's one of the biggest know-nothing, do-nothings on the planet, and she's worth more than all of us, okay? Don't think she'd be worth that much if she was 350 pounds. Same for Pamela Anderson. The left likes to pretend like there isn't a massive advantage for beautiful women and beautiful men out there, but there just always has been and always will be. Now, in response to the backlash, I'm going to get to Miller Lite's statement because this should actually get you up and moving even more than the Bud Light one. Miller Lite has apologized for its history of advertisements featuring women in bikinis with a woke commercial. In the 1-minute 30-second spot posted online, comedian Ilana Glazer says it's time beer made it up to women, as she's touted women's role in the brewing process going all the way back to early civilization. She explained that in the commercial, Miller Lite created a campaign for Women's History Month in March to buy up old marketing materials and turn them into compost, which could be used to make fertilizer. Now, at no point whatsoever, 0 points, okay, does Bud Light show any of this items that they bought, showed any of the dollars that they've invested, none of it. The company has sent, now of course the fertilizer will be donated to female hop farmers, and hops grown from the recycled materials will be sent to female brewers. The bad stuff to good stuff campaign came ahead of rival Bud Light's disastrous Dylan ad. The company has since lost more than $6 billion. I'm sorry, this is a typo. It's billion. $6 billion in market cap. And marketing executives criticized for Bud Light for losing its audience. Well, also 2 top marketing execs from Bud Light are no longer with the company. They're on a voluntary mandatory leave. In Miller Lite's commercial, which debuted back March 7th, Glazer rips the company for its history of campaigns featuring scantily clad women. Here's a little known fact. Women were among the very first to brew beer. So, having a good-looking woman sell beer doesn't mean that women are incapable of creating it. The Broad City Star. How long was that even? When was that even on the air? Who even knows who this woman is? Like, when did that go off the air? Let me look at this up. It has to be like... Oh, it had 5 seasons. Okay. Good for Broad City. It ended almost 5 years ago. But, yeah, hang on to that. Now, a lot of these like actors and actresses, see, they morph into political activists. So the comedian showed off some of the company's old posters, but by the way, conveniently not showing off any of her old advertisements for her shows, which featured her scantily clad many times. And I'm not going to go through all the ad. You see, Clay Travis writes, Miller Lite saw Bud Light disaster and decided they needed their own woke beer ad. These companies are broken and have no idea who actually consumes their products. The advertising campaign was spearheaded by an all-female team. Awesome. Slay Queens. The company announced in a press release it continues the brand's work empowering women in beer. Last year, the company released a new can featuring Mary Lyle, the first known female brewer, for July 4th. That stuff is fine. Instead of a typical slogan, a fine Pilsner beer, the Mary Lyle cans read, there's no beer without women. Okay, no, that's not okay. That's cringe. There's absolutely, positively beer without women. This is an inarguable fact. And so they go through and they're like, oh my God, we had beautiful women in our ads and it worked. And now we're trying to, say the ugly women sell better? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what this means. You know, what they think this means. And you know what's interesting is when you look, you know, early on the stock is you know, reacting, but it's too early to really know. Like if we look at InBev, for example, this is the Bud Light stock. It's still down another 1%. If you look over the last 5 days, it's down 4%. If you look at the last month, it's down 7%. Bud Light is down 7% over the last month. Tell me the boycott's not working again. Tell me that. And with a straight face. And then what does Miller do? Doubles down. Miller Lite downplays woke ad following Dylan Mulvaney. Disaster. So we know the ad. I'm trying to find their statement because I don't want to rehash the entire things. Okay. Quote. This is from Miller. The video is about 2 things. Worm poo and saying women shouldn't be forced to mud wrestle in order to sell beer. Exactly who was forcing them to do it? This is like when the Grand Prix or the F1 bikini girls, a bunch of fat, ugly, lonely housewives told them that they were being taken advantage of, and so they all lost their jobs. And then they went on TV and they were like, what are you talking about? This job is the best. I support my family, blah, 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 blah. This just reeks of that. Women getting old and not being able to use their body anymore, suddenly getting in front of the camera and saying, and pulling up the ladder behind them. That's what this sounds like to me. Neither of these things should be remotely controversial, and we hope beer drinkers can appreciate the humor and ridiculousness of this video from back in March. So they're trying to like distance themselves, right? The Bud Light can, which was, we already know everything that happened with Bud Light. Miller Lite saw the Bud Light disaster and decided they needed to make their own woke beer ad. I'm just going to quit drinking at this point, another user replied, as many others nodded to the slogan, go woke, go broke. On YouTube, comments suggest that between Bud Light and Miller Lite's recent marketing news, so we got 2 of the best examples of having no clue who your customers are. Now notice how I said were and not are. This makes me want to go buy more Yingling. I mean, yeah. I mean, they've got Team Red, White, and Blue, I guess. Meanwhile, Yingling has positioned itself to scoop up the Bud Light and possibly now Miller Lite's ex-customer base with the timely related release of a limited edition red, white, and blue can to support veterans. I mean, look. all they had to do to win was not be an idiot and not say anything. That's literally all it took to get the W. While the Miller Lite ad seemingly escaped harsh criticism until now, Bud Light has continued to make headlines with declining sales and fired marketing execs. Most recently, a second Bud Light senior marketing exec has been placed on leave following backlash and calls for the boycott. Now, Bud Light isn't the only beer in maker Anheuser-Busch's portfolio suffering. Budweiser and Michelob Ultra sales were down 11.4% and 4.4%. So, I mean, I guess shout out to Yuengling. All I can say to Yuengling is don't screw it up. Because I think at this point, people are just going to stop drinking. They're just going to walk away because it's like, people are just being people are hypersensitive now to a lot of this wokeism and capitalism. And I think it's a great time to be sensitive to it if you couldn't have always been, because, you know, times financially are getting tougher. Your dollar is going a lot. I talked about this the other day. There's a local sub shop called the Chocolate Factory in Wisconsin. I don't know if they're anywhere else, but they're good subs. But for 2 subs, 2 chips, and 2 sodas, it was like $25. And I was sitting there with a friend of mine. I said, remember when you could get a Subway foot-long meatball sub for $5? Like, that was in my lifetime. I'm not that old. This stuff is getting really expensive, and it's time to start holding these brands accountable because they've been gouging us forever. And so I 100% support sticking it to Miller, which is a Coors product. And I guess Yuengling, don't screw it up. That's all we could say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.